If you missed the first portion of today's Sabbath services, I know I'm handling what you got to say. I love messing with him. I know people be like, you be messing with them all the time. Yeah, because I miss them. I don't get to see them all the time during the week. But I love them brothers. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, it's an honor. Welcome back to today's Sabbath services. I'm Minister Mike Hill. If you missed the first portion of today's Sabbath services, don't worry, it's online. And I'm going to tell you, Minister Sister Don taught a phenomenal lesson on how to be civilized. How to be civilized. Yahweh's laws make us civilized. That's beautiful. Praise Yahweh.
Oh, yeah.
So without any further ado, it is an honor for me to bring up the next dynamic speaker. You're so pretty. The next dynamic speaker. And I'm speaking of none other than my teacher, Elder Minister Yemuel Israel. Let us rise as he walks to the podium. Praise Yahweh. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Shabbat shalom. Yeah, go ahead and be seated, please. I know y'all hear me say this so often. I like to believe that the Almighty Yah gave me good insight, as I'm sure He gave a lot of people good insight. We just have to use it. Y'all hear me when I say I know Yah's in the room? And I say that based on the spirit of the room and some of the questions that may come across on the internet or a lesson that might be taught. This morning, before we left the house, what I tell you I was going to speak on. I told my wife this morning, I've been having a lot of conversations that, that I was going to speak on marriage. And sometimes I wonder if I should speak on this or I should speak on that. But what it comes down to is I speak on what the Almighty gives me. And sometimes it might come across as being redundant. But you have to remember, we are a remedial people. The Almighty tells us the same thing over and over and over in the scriptures. I wonder why. Because He knows that we're hard-hearted people. We're rebellious. They wouldn't listen to the Almighty, right? People wouldn't listen to the Almighty. They didn't want to listen to Moses. And I long time ago, used to kind of feel the way because I felt like they weren't listening to me either. But people are going to be who they are. And the Almighty didn't tell me to lend myself, or nor did He tell anyone to lend themselves to an argument. He just said, go warn them of me, whether they're here, whether they're for bad, right? And so I have a message today, and I hope the message is received well. The lessons that were taught so far, man, I know I was busy, but I do be listening while I'm busy. And I thought those lessons were great. So it's a pleasure. I can only speak for myself. It's a pleasure to be invited to the party on the Sabbath day. That party that the Almighty Yah said that He would pretty much give for us. He said, come and share that day with me. Forget about the work and everything. Come and learn about me. And also in the process, you learn about who you are and what the expectations are. Say, come and get some wisdom. So when the Almighty feels fit to share something with us, we should feel like, oh my God, me? Me? That should make us feel special. Because everybody weren't called to come to an holy convocation and learn. He said, this is a sign between me and you forever. He said, this is a day that I want you to be kept perpetually. That means it continues. It goes on and on and on. And so sometimes when I look around and I see the empty seats, as I'm sure there are empty seats in all of our congregations. But when you go past these these whorehouses on the first day of the week, the parking lot is full of it. You probably get in there and pretty much have standing room only. People are more willing to go and hear a bunch of lies than to hear the truth, because we know that when we hear the truth, we got to make some adjustments. And sometimes our lazy tails, we just don't want to make those adjustments because we done got too comfortable. And sometimes being too comfortable can be our downfall. As I done got older, I'm telling you, I used to wonder, am I getting softer? What? It ain't that I'm getting soft. I'm getting wiser. I'm coming up out of my foolishness. So we got to start somewhere, right? Sometimes we play the fool so much we don't even know how foolish we are. And again, when I use that word, I like to define a fool as merely an unwise person. We don't take things, when it comes to the Almighty Yah, we don't take it serious enough. When it comes to understanding who He is, we don't take it serious enough. When it comes to understanding who we are, the Almighty Yah said, look, I'm married to you. Man. He said He was married to us. He said we were just about everything to Him. The apple of His eye, meaning my focus is on you, Israel. You're my battle axe. I gave you that sharp tongue, so you're supposed to be able to get out there and just talk to the world. Let them know who the true and living, not a dead man, know who the true and living creator of heaven and earth is. Sometimes we won't open our mouth. I'm talking about us collectively, not individuals, because I know individuals, a lot of individuals open up their mouth and glorify the Almighty Yah as often as possible. But some of us refuse to open up our mouth because we say, well, they didn't listen to Him and they didn't listen to Moses. Why should I say anything? Because He told us to. And if we're our brother's keeper, if we love our brother, and I'm talking about male and female, then we should at least want to give them or arm them with some information that may help save them from bumping their heads, help save their life, so to speak. We're not the big savior, but we can be little saviors just by giving out information that's going to help someone to make changes. I'm still convinced we're people that just satisfied with the way we are. So again, today I'm gonna speak on some marriage, and we're gonna talk about some things. Some people might think marriage is the picket fence and the big house and the car, the dog, and all. Well, you can have all that, but that don't make a marriage. That don't make a marriage at all. It's the mentality of the individuals that get married that's going to make that marriage work, along, most importantly, with that third chord. Do we all know what that third chord is? I know we know it here. What's that third chord, sweetheart? I know you know. I know you know. There you go. There you go. But before we get started, I want to read the Psalms that I've been saying for some decades. Elder, you know me? What psalm am I going to?
Psalms 5 and Psalms 37.
Oh, I said I've been saying for some decades, even longer than that. We only hear that generally when we go to a funeral or something, don't we? A song, let me give you a hint. It's one of the ones when I get in the car, I say, when I first start up the car, when I first go out. 121. Psalms 121. Been saying it for decades. And when I would be out on the road, it seemed like I'd always see a little bird just flying. Over the top, I look out there and I say, yeah, he got me. He got me. Because I used to be going in and out and just traveling down the road. So that one stuck with me. And it reads, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills from whence cometh my help. And as I would drive down the highway, I would always look to the high places. Just look to the high places. Because I know that my help is there. That was instilled in me a long, long time ago. We should all try to find something that we know that involves Yah and you. And in my case, Yah and me. Find that connection to where you know He got me. But the only way we can even think that is if we know we're giving it our best effort to be the best version of ourselves that we can be according to the ways of Yah, not according to the ways of man, because man will go with this old little bullcrap song talking about I'm living my best life and Yah ain't nowhere in the picture. And I'm here to tell you it's impossible for any of us to live our best life if the true and living creator of heaven and earth is not in the picture. First and foremost, that should be our foundation. We agree on that, right? Hallelujah. Again, I'll lift up mine eyes into the hills from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from Yah, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber like some of us do. Oh, I'm tired. I don't feel like doing it now. I'm going to lay down a little bit longer. You know, somebody will sleep 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 hours a day. Something wrong with that picture. Matter of fact, they should get up tired. Because sometimes when you get too much rest, you're going to be tired. It's going to drain you. We need to get that sufficient amount so that we can function good, which they say it should be between 7 and 9 hours. A lot of us don't get that. I know I don't. I'm working on it, though. I know my wife and my daughter always tell me to lay down or go sit down or something. But I guess I'm always thinking that something got to be done. Shame on me, huh? I'm gonna start making some adjustments on that. I keep saying it, but y'all, I keep getting to bed even later. But I know I'm not the only one. Got to be somebody else in here. Huh? I ain't the only one guilty of mistreating myself. Because that's what it comes down to. Mistreating myself. See, that's why I say to the Almighty, He treats us better than we treat ourselves. And then we tend to treat our possessions better than we treat ourselves. That make me qualify that statement, and I will. I do it all the time, so don't make me go there. We treat our possessions better than we treat ourselves. Probably everybody in here, for the most part. I know my son, he loves his game, that Xbox. After his school work and everything, though, he can be on it. You see what I'm saying? I love doing the things I do. We all love doing the things that we do, but sometimes they can be draining on us and we don't get that proper nutrition or the proper rest. Right? You drive, sis? Your tire get a blowout, you're going to get another tire? Okay. You live in a house? You get a hole in that roof and water coming through, popping you upside the head, you're going to get that. You like taking warm baths or whatever? So that hot water heater go out, you're going to get that taken care of too, right? All those things replaceable, aren't they? Now ask yourself this. Are you replaceable? You would rather take care of that little girl than have somebody else do it. That means we gotta do some maintenance. And it starts right here. It starts right here. We gotta change the way we think. That way, once we make those right changes, then we start instilling in the people that we love. And the best teacher has always been what? Example. You ain't got to tell nobody you change. People will see, especially if they're around you enough, right? Yeah, see. Say, well, I wonder why Elder Mesher don't do that no more. I wonder why Them don't do that no more. I wonder what's going on here. It seems like they're growing. I'm talking about all of them. They're getting wiser. We had our time to be a fool when we were young, didn't we? Should we always be a fool?
Sorry.
I'm telling people on a regular basis, it seems sometimes, quit acting your shoe size and act your age. When you talking to somebody like this and saying that, sometimes we just talking to people that's growing older, not growing up. Again, in verse 3, he will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yah is thy keeper. Yah is the shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yah shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Think about this. Is this for everybody? Again, I'm here to tell you guys from my understanding, it's not. It's just like that verse when it speaks about no weapon formed against me can prosper. That's to the elite. That's to the righteous. That's to those that are really saints of the Almighty. That's just not for the average Joe, as some of us may be here. I might be an average Joe, but I'm striving to be far beyond average. This is deep. I know I'm not the only one that's minding. Anybody else in their mind just stay going? You're constantly thinking about things. Sometimes it's hard to rest because you're just constantly thinking about it. Sometimes we consider how many people just listening by way of the internet, sometimes your eyes just glaze over from some of the foolishness that you done before. I'm guilty. Because when you learn better, when you get wiser, sometimes you just feel bad. Say, oh my God, how could I have been such a fool? I'll tell you how. We're monkey do people. Like Maureen Alicia used to say. We see people doing things and we feel like, okay, that's what we do. My wife used that phrase a long time ago. That's what we do. But that's what we do. We do what we see done. We say what we hear said. And so what we do is we become a product of the people and the environment around us. And we should always remember, never allow our environment to dictate who we are. But that's what happens. That's why people get cliquish and they hang together because they have those commonalities. But we're supposed to be peculiar. We're supposed to be separate. We're set apart for a purpose. We don't, collectively, we're not getting it. Let me get back to this Psalms here. Again, I love this Psalm so much. I'm going to start back over here at Psalm 5. It's a short psalm. At verse 5. It reads, Yah is thy keeper. Yah is the shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yah shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yah shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from henceforth and even forevermore. That's protection. When they talk about this other man, the complexion for the protection, hey, think about this. We have the complexion for the protection, but we got to have mentality together. That's what's going to help us. What scripture say? Just learn to do good. Just learn to do good. Yeah, I know I've said this before too. People pretty much are the sum total of their own experiences. Think about what I'm saying here for a second. People tend to be the sum total of their own experiences. And we all have different experiences, don't we? But we tend to want people, why don't this person get it? Why don't this person act right? Why don't this person? Because maybe they haven't experienced the things that you or I have experienced. And maybe we haven't experienced the things that they have experienced. Everybody's an individual. See, I've learned sometimes when we talk to people, I might use a word, and I don't try to use big words, but I might use a word that might throw the understanding off to somebody that I'm talking to. And by me using that one word or a multitude of words, now when I speak to somebody, they don't understand what I was saying. And you guys should try, because sometimes you might have to ask the person, did you understand what I just said? And they might, again, nod in agreement like they understood. Follow up and ask them to explain to me, especially if it's something important. Explain to me what I just said. And I tell you what, you'll find often that the person that you were talking to, that you thought understood, didn't really understand, because it might have been one word that was used that threw their understanding off. But people, think about what I'm saying. Everybody's had different experiences, right? Some people have been traumatized, and so they might be in a defensive state for a long time because it's hard to recover from something like that, especially if they haven't went through some kind of therapy or something. And then you have others who may just had an easy life, an easy road, who never really experienced anything. They wouldn't be able to relate to somebody else who've had a lot of different issues. But I suggest that we all, in one way or another, have had our own issues, and even to this day, right? So a lot of times when we think something is clear to you or it's clear to me, that don't mean it's clear to somebody else. So we got to put things in a manner to where somebody say, okay, I get it. And the sad thing about it is, well, I shouldn't even say sad, because somebody might say the same thing, but they're saying it a different way. And now somebody really get it. They understand. And the bottom line is we want them to understand, right? We want them to understand. Go to Jeremiah 3. We're getting ready to get into this lesson dealing with marriage. In the book of Jeremiah, 3rd chapter. I'm going to start here at the 14th verse. It reads, turn, O backsliding children, say, yeah, for I am married unto you, and I will take you, one of a city and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion. That sounds like a low number down. One of a city and two of a family. Ask yourself, when the great flood came, how many people at that time on the earth, how many survived? So when we all acting like we're on the right track, do that mean that we all, I'd like to think that I'm on the right track, but do that mean I'm on the right track? Me, like a lot of other people, we're still working on ourselves. At least I hope we're working on ourselves, trying to be better servants, trying to live up to what our purpose was. And we all should know what our purpose is, right? It tells us that in the book of Ecclesiastes, right? 12th chapter, 12th verse, 12th and 13th verse, getting to that final conclusion. But how many of us actually fear Yah and want to keep his commandments? Because the Almighty, he ordained marriage, didn't he? And he told us, or instructed us, should I say, how to deal with marriage. And he let us know that marriage is a sacred covenant between a man and a woman, becoming a husband and a wife. And we know not to deal treacherously. I'm going to get into some scriptures, but we know we shouldn't deal treacherously with our husbands or wives, right? And I started out by reading that first scripture when the Almighty said that he was married to us. Now, we only expect what we know we're going to get, not all good sometimes. We're going to get some bumps, right? But if Yah is a good, how many ever think Yah is a good husband, the best husband? Huh? So now check this out. In marriage, he made that man second in command, because Yah is the head, right? And he said, in righteousness, govern or rule over your household. In marriage. So if Yah is the husband, now let's flip it. Now we're the husband, mortally, in our households. How should we govern ourselves? Should we, as husbands, say, well, this is how I'm going to do it. We don't need the book. We don't need instruction. You know, is that the way we should handle things? Because the Almighty Yah has order, right? And either we're going to be in order or we're going to be out of order. And when that household is fallen because the husband, and I got to say this, and I'm going to present some scriptures later, but I got to go the way the Almighty guides me. It's a sacred covenant. It's an agreement. And the Almighty, He ordained it. If we want to have a successful marriage, we cannot go into a marriage being selfish. Because at that point, it's no longer about me, right? Anybody speak French? It's about what?
We.
There you go. It's about we. Is a marriage a partnership? Let me give y'all a hint. If me and this man open up a business and we partners, he say yes and I say no, we're a stalemate, right? The Almighty said what? He made that woman because it wasn't good for man to be alone. So he made what for that man? He made her an helpmate. She's going to be a helper. And the husband is the leader. Now, I'm not suggesting that a man should not listen to his wife, by all means, because sometimes she might have a better understanding about a situation, or her thought process may be better at some time more so than ours about a given situation or something. But at the end of the day, that decision, hopefully a wise decision, is made by who?
Yeah.
The husband. The husband. But when we govern our household, we need to make sure and be mindful that we're doing it in righteousness. Let's get into some other things here. Go to the book of Isaiah. Just another reminder here before we move on. Isaiah 54. Let's just look at the 5th verse here in Isaiah 54 and 5. Again, it reads, for thy maker is thine husband. Yah of hosts is his name. And my Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, the Elohim of the whole earth shall he be called. He's our Redeemer. We want a good reward. We have to put forth good effort, right? And we have to have a good head on our shoulders. In other words, we don't want to be foolish when we're talking about entering into a union of marriage. We don't want to do that. We don't want to be a calamity, fellas, because we don't want those contentions from a woman. And I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into it. How many of y'all ever heard, and let me say this, I'm going to talk about the males and the females in this conversation. All right. I'm going to talk about the husbands and the wives, the potential couple, the male and the female that's thinking about being married if they haven't yet been married. And then hopefully we can put forth some information that might help those who might be going through a troubled time in their marriage. Because I have to say, I would believe that anybody who's been married, that is married, will let you know that marriage is not just a cakewalk. It takes an effort, but the reward is beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm a firm believer in marriage. But a lot of times, in these modern times, people are shying away from marriage. And we're going to talk about why that might be as well. But it don't get no better when you got something to go home to. You understand? When you go home and you got that peace. Elder, I can only hope that because I got a little age under my belt. I can only hope I can get some years like you got. I can only hope. I'd be 100 and something years old. You might have to be changing my diaper or something. I don't know. I hope not. But yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I wrote down some because I didn't want to forget it. Matter of fact, I wrote down a couple of things. So let me do this here first. A while back, I found what I thought to be a beautiful prayer. So I wrote it down, a prayer of marriage. I didn't author this. I was in doing some research. I came across and I said, I like that. I like that. And let me read it again. I read it before, and I'm going to read it slow in case anybody want to write it down. It's entitled A Prayer for Marriage. And it reads, Father Yah, help me to be a better husband. And again, if a woman is reading it or whatever, help me to be a better wife. But in my case, I'll say husband here. Father Yah, help me to be the husband you have intended me to be. Show me where I need to improve. Because see, a lot of times we struggle with improvement. Let me go ahead and read this and then we can talk about it, all right? Again, Father, Y'all help me to be the husband you have intended me to be. Show me where I need to improve. Help me to be a better communicator. Help me to love my wife. Help me to love her better. And help us both to grow. Help us to grow closer to you and to each other. In our presence, we renew our wholehearted choice to love. We renew our wholehearted choice to love. Bless this holy commitment with courage, strength, tenacity, and most of all, joy. With you, we can build a successful marriage. In your holy name, Yah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I thought that was beautiful. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. Did anybody need me to go over that again? Yes, sir.
I was just gonna see if I could get the copy, just so I can copy it down.
Like about a wife, if it's a woman, then she just say husband. But that was, I thought it was beautiful. Now let me read what I wrote down. Something else it reads. Marriage is a sacred covenant between a man and a woman to become one flesh. It's also the best plan for sexual relationships. Now I want to break this down. A lot of times things are done inappropriately. And in most cases, those of us that are of age, we were inappropriate at one time or another. Should I say we put the cart before the horse? But when you're married, then that brings about a great responsibility. And let me say this, I have to say it again. I think I might have just said it. If a person knows that they are selfish, you're not ready for marriage. If you know, does that make sense, Elder? If a person know that they are selfish, they don't want to share anything. They don't like commitment. They want to do whatever it is that they want to do without question. And this is even for the guy. Just because you're the head, because you're married, that don't mean you can deal any kind of way. That don't mean that at all. So if you're selfish, and say you are married already, acknowledge the fact that you're selfish and start making appropriate changes if you want to have a successful union. And Elder, at any time when I'm speaking, that you have anything, because like I say, you've been married, hold on, wait a minute, 56 years?
Mhm.
All right, okay. I didn't want to take one away. But then you know, waking up with somebody for all them years, there had to be a reason, there had to be something to keep you together, even in difficult times, right?
Right.
Because now in these modern times, people are so quick to try to run. People are so quick to dismiss, even knowing that y'all hates putting away. So sometimes we have to take a good look at ourselves. Husbands and wives need to take a good look at self and say, well, what am I offering? And if something's out of order, what am I doing? And a lot of times we know what we're doing. We have to be able to sit down and communicate with one another. And it ain't what a person say, it's what? How they say it. And if it's said in a manner to where we should be able to receive it, then we need to consider and check and see, is there any validity to it? And if a thing is said, there may be some validity to it, right? Then we have to just suck it up and make some changes, if changes need to be made. Marriage is work. There'll be some ups and some downs in most of our marriages. However, the commitment to the union of marriage should be extremely strong to the man and to the woman that wishes to be joined together as one. Think about this. You can't go into a marriage, or shouldn't go into a marriage, should I say, and be like, well, we'll see how it goes. You know what I'm saying? We can't go in with that type of mentality. You have to, people need to have conversations before they get married to find out more about the person that they want to marry. Now, keep in mind, anybody can put on a facade. Anybody can be on their best behavior. Anybody can tell you those things that you want to hear. Just like, let me give y'all some examples. When a man and a woman, they get sit down and start talking to each other, like, tell me some of the things you like. And tell me some of the things you like. I think that shouldn't be done right away. And I'm gonna tell you why it shouldn't be done right away. I think some of my maturity done kicked in. Because for a month, 2 months, if that or however long, the person already knows those things that you like. You see what I'm saying? So they're gonna give you what they believe you like. Until they get to a point to where now they're feeling comfortable. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times, if people just pay attention to what you're doing, they can see what you like. If they pay attention, because if you're really into somebody, you're checking them out. It ain't like you just snooping behind their back and doing all that type of stuff, but you're paying attention. When they're just talking, you're paying attention. When she's talking, he's paying attention. When he's talking, she's paying attention. But don't just look at the words. Look at the what? Look at that. See, y'all smart. Look at the actions. Look at the actions. Let me give you an example. we're gonna get into some of this stuff here. Because see, we have trust issues. A lot of us have trust issues. My phone. Everybody of age here got a little cell phone or something, right? I ain't got no secrets on my cell phone and my phone ring. You know how to open my phone?
I believe so.
There you go. There you go. That phone ring and I can't get to it, I answer it. So if I got something hidden in there, I ain't got no problem with you. Like, what? Get my phone. Why are you looking under my phone? Say, hold on, we talking about a marriage. What's a marriage without trust? You know, I know in a lot of cases people gonna snoop. Well, give them permission. That way you ain't gotta snoop. You know? I would suggest that, and I know some people might disagree, but be transparent and be consistent. Why would you want to be transparent and be consistent? I'm not suggesting that you got to devolve everything, but don't deal treacherously. That can be being deceitful. It can also be violence, right? Just don't be deceitful. We're gonna get into that because it's just a lot. Now, I want to keep things in the right perspective here because I don't want to lose nobody. And it might be that I get ahead on something and then I come to it again. And if I do, that's all right because we're what kind of people? We're immediate. We need to hear, even the Almighty had it put in the book, some of the same things over and over again. And we know why, right? Because sometimes we can hear something and real soon we do what? We forget it. Somebody in this room probably when you leave, they're gonna say, well, there were 3 different classes. What they talk about? Somebody be like, oh, wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute, I'll tell you, hold on, wait a minute. It was good though, hold on. That's what we do. And then we might pick up a little something, but it ain't a whole lot of, well, it's enough. There's some young people arguing saying ain't a whole lot of old minds in here. Some of us then got to the point where we might forget a thing or two. How many of y'all ever said a prayer and forgot whether you said the prayer or not, so you just pray again? I'm guilty of that too. Huh? Young folk, y'all minds ought to be real sharp. Y'all don't forget that easy. Now again, however, you got to be strong to your commitment of marriage. You should be extremely, you hear what I'm saying? Extremely strong in your commitment. If you're thinking you're about maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the greatest, and you're talking about getting married and they say, well, where you at on a scale of 1 to 10? You say, I'm about a 7 or 8. Don't get married. Married people, at any time, if I say anything that you think, if you want to add in anything, please feel free to do so at any given time. Because there's experience in this room. There's experience in this room. You've been married for
13 years.
Ooh, time is passing. Time is passing. Time is passing. The man being the husband and the woman being the wife, understand, and I'm repeating this again, that the husband is the leader of that union, with the wife being the helpmate. Now there's a role for each to play, right? And everybody has a responsibility. There's a question asked. And I'm just gonna go ahead and give the answer to it because a lot of times the guy asks this question, and sometimes women don't know how to answer this question. So I'm gonna talk about the men. I'm gonna talk about the women. What's the biggest thing that a man wants? Some of y'all already know it. The biggest thing that a man wants when he come home. Now it ain't that S word.
Peace.
Say it again.
Peace.
So when a man asks a woman, what are you bringing to the table? Because see, a man's responsibility to take care of the housing, the food or clothing, and the duty of marriage. When he's out dealing with the world and catching all kinds of grief while he's out there, when he come home, he don't want to sit in the driveway for a while before he decides to open up the door. Because sometimes when things ain't right, there's contention, there's argument, there's a whole lot of stuff that just destroys that marriage, because instead of focusing on what's wrong, which is what's usually done, they don't come together right away to try to acknowledge that we need to do something to repair it. And grudges and things are held, and it's not good, it's not healthy at all. So that one thing, and see, keep in mind, she's that helpmate. So when he come in, he down the best thing. A woman, if she use her femininity, she can get just about anything. You agree? Who agree? She can get just about anything.
I'm totally.
Just about anything. But when that energy is wrong, because you have masculinity and you have femininity. That masculinity is associated with the male, and that femininity is associated with that female, and together they create a balance. A balance. So sometimes that husband might come home and he might be feeling low. If you love him, help build him back up. We got this. We got this. I tell my baby, it's you and me against the world. It's us against the world. That ain't shutting everybody out, but that means we got to be our own team. We team what?
Israel.
There you go, Team Israel. Team Israel. I'm a firm believer in that. I'm a firm believer in that, because you have to figure out things that bring you closer together, not things that make you want to divide. And when you find that there's things that's dividing you, you got to figure out a way to bring that back, but one person can't do it. That's the reason it's always good when you become friends before you become intimate. Because then when you go through rough times, what do you have in order to keep you together other than that attraction? So when the friction stops, what you got to hold on to? What's the reason that you got together in the first place? And then in most cases, and yeah, we're going to get through some scriptures. In most cases, when especially younger people get married, most likely there's going to be some youth to come about. You need to discuss even before marriage how those youth going to be raised. That way it don't be no surprises. Because there have been situations to where, a lot of situations to where, again, the cart go before the horse. And then who suffers? If we're honest, we say the baby suffers. Because then we did something and we did it wrong. And then it puts us in a worse situation for being married. And I'm just going to give us the facts. And let me say this right here. This is not to belittle or to degrade anybody. Y'all want some truth? I'm going to give us some truth. Right? I'm going to give us some truth. We just have to be mindful. There have to be conversations. Say people who want to get married and they already have youth. There have to be questions asked about how do we handle discipline in the house. Do you understand? You have to come to all kinds. You have to have those discussions that need to be made. That way everybody's on the same page, because when you're raising a child, neither parent want to undermine the other in front of the child or the children. That's going to be bad. Mothers generally are what? The nurturers, right? Fathers generally, not in all cases, but generally are what? They handle what? Discipline. Huh? But see, we done got away from those things because people say, well, it's different now. Of course it's different now, because the people forgot about y'all. We put them on the back burner. And they want to be woven into that fabric that we should have never been a part of. Again, we're supposed to be set apart for a reason. And I'm guilty. So it ain't like I'm pointing the finger. But when we learn better, let's say it all together. We what? We do better. Or at least let's say we should do better, because we don't always do better when we learn better, do we? Again, don't be so quick to enter into a marriage if you're selfish. And don't try to convince somebody if they say they're not ready. Don't force it. Because what happens if you get married and somebody say, I told you I wasn't ready, because everything's going downhill because the person didn't have loyalty. The person didn't have integrity. That person still had maybe a lot of ways in them, and that could be either one of them or maybe even both of them. And the Almighty Yah takes that covenant of marriage very seriously, even to the point to where some people think that you have to make a vow when you get married. I would say, no, you don't. And I would suggest that you don't make a vow, don't say something. In other words, don't let your behind get you in trouble because of something your mouth said. Because when you make a vow, you better pay that vow. Or do anybody think different? If you make a vow, pay that vow. Just listen, I don't know if your hand is up or not, but you ain't ready for marriage right now, and we both know that. I don't know if your hand is up, but just listen, because we're gonna ask some questions. We're gonna get to it. We didn't cover that. Yeah, I think very watered down. Elder, what you think? You got any kind of example based on? It used to be a time, I'm old enough to say that, it used to be a time when married people had issues. And the father, he might have been out of order. And the mother might say, hey, go down the street, it might be another woman that tell your father it's time to come home. Now, I'm not suggesting people do that, but people weren't so quick to dissolve their marriages. See, sometimes people are just not ready, but they get into that relationship probably with good intentions, but find out that they just wasn't ready. And that's a bad time to find out after you've already joined yourself to someone, because it'll be a great disappointment. And I personally, I'm glad that the Almighty Yah blessed me to be able to have a duo. I have old children. I like to think that I did a fairly decent job, but as I got wiser, understood more, now going around this time, I've got more to work with. I've got a better understanding. I have a lot more patience, which in this case, I don't really have to have a whole lot of patience because I operate differently. You see? And I learned that communication goes a long way. Communication. Y'all know one of the first things to go bad is, I just said it. Communication. Communication. Somebody stop talking, stop doing this, stop doing that. It might be one, if not both of them. Next thing you know, now you got a bigger problem. Because needs are not being met at home, and now people going here and they going there. And they think they're doing something, but the Almighty frowning on it. Frowning on it. We always putting things, go to Proverbs 27. Go to Proverbs 27. Proverbs 27. We talking about we're gonna straighten up tomorrow, or next week I'm gonna get it together, or whatever. Look at the very first verse here, Proverbs 27:1. It reads, boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day might bring forth. In other words, when we find out that our situation might need some adjustments. Y'all heard that expression, never put off to tomorrow what you can do today? Why do we tend to do that? Put things off. And we wait on the next person. Well, she ain't saying nothing. She ain't saying nothing. I ain't gonna say nothing. Then that heat, it just builds up. A lack of communication. You say, I'm gonna put it off. I'm gonna wait. We act like we got all the time in the world. We don't know what the next second gonna bring, let alone the next day. Some people's legacy can even be in marriage. You know what I mean? They might have the ideal marriage, so what it looks like they're on the outside. But the thing is, if you stand the test of time, because the communication and everything else you need, then the integrity is there, the intent, the right intent is there. And you work through those issues and you have children coming up in that household to see how to operate in a marriage. Because people do what they see done and they say what they hear said. So therefore, we're teaching our youth, those that are in the house, we're teaching them how to handle relationships. If we fuss and fight all the time, guess what? They're going to think that's normal. So they're going to do the same thing. I'm embarrassed about the time that I fussed and argued with my wife. I'm embarrassed about it. And I think as men, we should be. And the women should be too. Because we're supposed to raise a good and a holy seed. I'm not suggesting that things are not going to happen or they're not going to go wrong. But when they do, what do? We leave it like that or we fix it? A commitment, a sincere commitment will always make you want to fix it. Always. Always. See, a lot of times, we don't look at things the right way. I need y'all to understand this right here. This is for the ladies right now. Women, you have access or you give access to a certain thing. I'm going to leave it at that. But when it comes to marriage, that access for marriage comes from the man. So don't put the cart before the horse. If you're good enough for this, you should be good enough for that. I hope I ain't lose nobody. Did I lose anybody with that? If I did, I'll be a little clear. But because we have a little younger minds in here, y'all need me to be a little bit clear? Or y'all got it? Y'all understand what I'm saying? In other words, don't put the cart before the horse. Yes, ma'am.
So, how should we effectively communicate? Because we can think we communicate properly, but it's not effective.
Well, your foundation should be what?
The Creator.
So remember that maybe I haven't got there yet. But you can't build a house without God being the foundation. So I found that arguing don't really work. And most men should know by now, you ain't gonna never really win no argument with a woman. most men should know that by now. I'm just gonna tell like, you ain't gonna never win no argument. You ain't gonna never win no argument. And all you're gonna do is just get frustrated. So sometimes you both might need to just cool off and then go back and try again. But a lot of times, because again, we're in a different time. And the energy is not the way it should be. Do you understand? Again, and this ain't a knock on nobody, but you have masculine and you have feminine. And most women, if they understood, some of y'all may know and some may not. if you use your femininity, even in your words, it's going to get you a lot farther. Now, I'm not saying don't be a pushover. I'm not saying be a pushover at all. I'm not suggesting that at all. But I'm saying all of this back and forth, it just creates a bigger division. And sometimes in arguments, people say things that are very hurtful. This man can punch me in my eye, and my eye swell up, hanging all about the socket and everything. And eventually it come back together. You see what I'm saying? It'd be all right, it'd be healed. But sometimes people take those words to their grave. They take them words because them words cut deep. They cut deep to the point to where it separates people. So even in arguments, if it's going to be argument, or should I say discourse, people need to learn how to communicate, because you shouldn't say things that you cannot take back. How many of y'all believe the words in flight can't be returned? People will be quick to say, well, maybe not quick, but they'll say, well, I'm sorry. But the person that those words affected ain't going to be willing to just say, okay, it's all well and done. It don't work that way. That's the reason we're taught to use smooth words instead of harsh words. And how we learned that anger rests in the bosom of a fool. Again, that's just a person that's being unwise. Why wouldn't we want to have a strong connection with our husband and wives? Husband and wife should speak on a regular basis, especially if they're in the same house. I ain't talking about somebody who's separated and really don't understand certain things, whatnot. But when you have a good relationship, you want to communicate often, right? That person's on your mind. You want what's best for them. You don't want to see somebody just going through it. Because I'm going to tell you, if a husband or a wife is going through it and the other person's all right with it, it don't bother them at all, something wrong. Something wrong. What do you think about that, Elder?
Say it again.
If a husband or a wife, if you can tell they're just really going through it,
Okay.
and the other person act like they don't care, the wife or the husband, the other party, if they act like they just don't care about it, something's wrong.
Seriously.
Something is wrong. Because that's supposed to be that person that you plan on spending your life with. That person should have a great meaning to you, you see. And I can go on and on. I got enough stuff I want to get through here. When we're going through that, we got to learn. God, we got to learn to humble ourselves. We got to learn how to remedy the problem. Keep it in mind, again, that marriage is an agreement. And the Almighty Yah, He's a witness to that agreement. And He's that third cord. So if we're trying to act a fool in our marriage, it might be one person who really wants it, the other person really don't want it. The Almighty might have that marriage dissolved because he probably has something better in store for that one individual who really wants it. He might have to feel like he need to, especially if you're a right person and the Almighty found favor in you or me or whoever. He might end up removing you from that situation because why? I think anytime a door closes, it's probably because He got something better in store for me. I personally believe that. I believe the relationship that I've been in the past that didn't work put me in line for this right here. Because see, I know me. And I'm not going to sit up here and say that I'm perfect, but I know what my intent is. Do you understand? See, I can say that because I'm confident that I want the best for my household. I'm confident that I want the best for my wife and my children. I'm confident in that. Now, do I make errors? I would like to say, yeah, absolutely. I must make some errors. And I say that only because I know I'm not perfect. You know what I'm saying? So I don't purposely go out and try to make some errors or something. But just being honest with myself, I say, I'm probably not 100%. I got to make some mistakes somewhere. But that's how we learn, right? Ain't that the reason they put erasers on the tips of pencils? Because you're gonna make some mistakes. Then you get a chance to kind of knock that out and then try and do it over, try to fix it. Let me tell you, in a marriage, I personally believe Yah is going to work for those who got his back, who trust in him. Yah is going to work for those who are right with him. You get a lot of people that call themselves Israel that say if they got married, but they're not right. And again, I don't know about somebody's relationship. I can only be concerned with mine. So I don't want nobody to think that I'm just throwing shade at him. No, because the Almighty, he the one who ordained that union. And I can only hope and pray that he help heal all the bad relationships that might not be up to par. Because he hates putting away. And I know sometimes it might be somebody involved in a particular relationship that want to save their relationship. It might be somebody who just fed up, don't want it no more. And you can't make somebody treat you the way you want to be treated. It's got to be in them. You can't make somebody love you. You gonna love me? No, you can't make nobody do that. It's either there or it's not there. That's the reason people need to get to know people before they go to laying down and do things. Let me tell you something. If you do your own research, you'll find out that 40% of the females here in the United States have babies before they're married. Now, again, I'm not knocking anybody, but you put yourself in a bad situation as far as trying to be married. Because when you get together, you're going to want a man that, you're going to most likely run into a man that want to have more babies and say, what if you don't want to have no more babies? You see? So people ought to consider, like I say, women have access to this or give access to this, but when it comes to marriage, men give access to marriage. And you have to look at it this way. If a man don't want to marry you, be careful who you're dealing with. Be careful who you're dealing with. That's the best way I can put it. Be careful who you're dealing with. And for those that may have children already and say they are going to get married, they're going to get, they decide they're going to get married. Have those conversations, those crucial conversations about how maybe discipline might be handled. Because you have some that say, oh, no, you ain't disciplined. But wait a minute. You can be a father, you can pay the bills, you can do all this, that, and the other, but discipline can't come into the picture. In other words, don't put yourselves in a position to where the outcome might not be the way you want it. Have I said anything to offend anybody thus far? Because I want to be real clear, because my job here is not to try to offend anybody. It's just that when we're going by the prescription that the Almighty gave us, and we're the ones who kind of twist that prescription up, then that's on us. And we all play a part. We all play a part. Go to the book of Proverbs 31. We're just going to look at a particular verse out of there. In the 10th verse, it reads, who can find a virtuous woman, for her price is far above rubies. Now let's put a little spin on this so we get a little different understanding here. A lot of times, looking just with our eyes. And sometimes a man's eyes ain't never full. He's looking at the front, he's looking at the back, he's looking at this, that, and the other. Let me use myself for example. I used to be, I would like to think I used to be a little handsome young man when I was younger. What I'm saying, see, I'm making light of it, making a joke, but as we get older, things gonna change. You understand? As we get older, things are definitely gonna change. So it's got to be something of value. See, when a man chooses a wife, he wants something that's going to be of a value to him. You see what I'm saying? What is she bringing to the table? In other words, she's a helpmate. Oh, I got you. She's going to help build you up. She ain't one who's always going to want to have to argue and all those things. If I'm acting out, if I'm being a butt, that don't mean she going to be a butt because I'm being a butt. You understand? So a lot of times we have to grow into these certain understandings. And Elisha said it best. If a woman marry a fool, it'll make her the bigger fool. So we want to be careful and have conversations so that you can come to an understanding within yourself that you're not choosing wrongly. Does that make sense to y'all? But you can't do that overnight. And a lot of times we have to use restraint. I've been guilty of not using restraint. But see, that's the reason I can say things, because I learned. And when you learn better, you do better, and you want those that you love to do better. And y'all know what I'm talking about restraint. Use restraint. Get to know somebody. If things ain't popping off the way they want to pop off, and then all of a sudden they gone, whoo, it saved you some grief, right? Saved you some grief. Because a lot of times we'll do things that put us in a position that we really don't want to be in, and then find out, well, I just made bad choices in life, and it hindered me. Again, who can find that virtuous woman? This ain't just talking about that virtuous woman. This is about that woman who's going to treat you right. But guys, you got to treat her right. You got to treat her right. And how do you find out if you're the right person? See, women will say, well, I tested it. And men will say, well, I tested her, but did you test them right? Test them right. When I chose my wife, my mother had already passed. And you remember Elder Miriam? Mm-hmm. She was up there at, what's that little nursing home, or what you call it up there on, what's that road, baby? On 747? It's a something Knoll or what is it? Maple Knoll nursing home or whatever. She was up there. So I talked to her, told her I got somebody I want to bring to her to get her approved. See what I'm saying? I had my wife get herself together. I don't even think you knew where we was going to. Nope. Then you know what? Where I was getting ready to take her to. I was taking her up there to Elder Miriam and let her sit with Elder Miriam for a while I disappeared. And then I came back, and when I came back, I was seeing what the verdict was. And she said, yeah, you can keep her. you see? So I try to use wisdom. As I've gotten older, that's just like a lot of times when you have young people and they might start to develop relationships, and a little girl might be hiding their relationship from her parents or whatnot. No, bring them on home. You know, and a lot of times they don't do that because they shouldn't be in that relationship in the first place, right? But then a man gonna know about little boys and things, and then they gonna look at their demeanor. And just in having a conversation with them, a lot of times they can gauge what this little fella's all about for real. And a lot of times, a mother, especially a good mother, she can look at these little girls, engage, and see, oh, no, leave her alone. And she come over and meet mom, and she all hanging out and everything, and no. And then we get with people and then go tend to think that we're going to change them. I don't know who came up with that. In the book of Genesis, the 2nd chapter. Let's go there, please. Hey, y'all, I'm not trying to rush this, so there may be a part 2. I'm gonna let y'all know that right now, because this is Marriage is scarce for Israel right now. Marriage is scarce. And see, people, they go into it and then they find out that the court systems is designed, and I have to say this, I'm just going to keep it a buck. The court system is designed for the woman. So when guys, they don't want to lose their children. You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying that's going to be 100% of the time or whatnot, but they know what the odds are. You're going to lose half of what you got, and half of your family going to be separated from you. And I can't speak for nobody else, but I know in a lot of cases that hurts. That would, oh my gosh. For somebody taking your babies, and your babies can be older, but they still your babies. That would, I would like to think that'll hurt anybody. So it's a reason that the Almighty said that he gave us a process. But we've gotten away from our culture. And we've become so westernized that we're quick to run to this man. Quick to run to him. Now tell me, who thinks that this man really give a darn about him? Long as they can make some money about for you, that's what they gonna do. That's exactly what they're gonna do. But in the process of any kind of division, we have to consider who's going to be hurt the most, especially if there's youth. At that point, we're depriving them of having the, I'm like, you know what? I didn't even think about that. We just watched another movie last night. And it was entertaining, but it was, what was the name of the daggone movie? Parent Trap.
Oh, yeah.
I guess it's the original one from 1961.
That's correct.
1961. And it was good, and it showed how a child can be lonely for that other parent that's not there. And it can have a devastating effect on them. But then when the little girl told her father last night that she was missing her mother because they were separated with, one? Then they 13, 14 years old. And they said, oh, why you want to say that? Well, I would think that most of us would miss a parent if that parent was gone. If we didn't get the opportunity to bond with that parent and have that parent, wonder what that parent would be like and how they are. And we got to consider that's what we may be doing to children. We're creating distance from the parents so they don't get a chance to see the parents interacting as mother and father or husband and wife. And y'all got to remember, we were commissioned by the Almighty to raise those children. And they should have been raised in a household. Now, spilt milk, we can't cry about that. So again, I have to continually say, because I don't want some woman to be upset with me because of the things that I'm saying, because I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm just trying to put this on the page to where we're going to do better, right? I personally myself went through a divorce some years ago, and I lost my well, things ain't the way they could have been, but I'm in a good place now. I'm in a good place, and my children understand. Hopefully, all of them except for one of them, my daughter, my older daughter. But I have a great relationship with my sons. You see, they know I love them. I don't have no problem telling them that I love them. But I just want us to be mindful that we can't be selfish, because when we're being selfish, somebody's going to get hurt. That's why I say if we're selfish, if somebody say on a scale of 1 to 10 where you at, if you ain't a 10 all in, don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there at all.
You got a comment?
Yes.
From Elliot Count, he says Shabbat Shalom to all the house of Yehuda.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I'm glad you're listening. In the book of Genesis, where I say the second chapter, let's go there. It's going to be a lot more extensive than I actually start at the beginning. But like I say, I like to talk to the Almighty and say, give me what you want out. Genesis 2nd chapter. Let's read from the 22nd verse to the 24th. And it reads, and the rib which Yah had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones, and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be as one flesh. Now, if my wife is supposed to be like a part of me, what I look like dealing with my wife, and I know all people are different, but what would a man who say he wants to be a good man, what would I look like if my wife is sort of, say like my face, say she's the nose on my face, and I cut my own nose off? That means I'm spiting my own face, right? So if we're connected and we're supposed to be one flesh, if I'm mistreating her, then I'm mistreating myself. If she's mistreating me, then she's mistreating herself. Because we're supposed to be on one accord. And I know we're two individual bodies, and we all know that. But we're supposed to be on the same page. Because marriage, believe it or not, guys, is supposed to be a come up for both parties. Because ideally, when a woman was getting married, she was coming from her father's house, right? So then that husband is taking over where that father left off. That way he's supposed to be providing her shelter, her food, her clothing, and the duty of marriage. She's supposed to be not going down in a marriage. If anything, she's supposed to be coming up. But that man is supposed to be able to have a reward too, right? One of you women want to tell me what that reward is? Now, we talked about part of it earlier, which was that what don't put it just like that. Make it sound like, oh, I got to cook, I got to run dishes. No, it's two things, and they go together. In other words, everybody handle their role, and you have a successful household. And nobody should be burdened because they're doing what they need to do. It should be a joy. Again, I have to say this. The greatest honor that a Hebrew Israelite woman can have outside of being a queen is what? Being a man's wife. Being a man's wife. See, here's the thing that I want you ladies to think about. If you lay with a man, don't you think that that man should want to marry you? But matter, you shouldn't be laying with that man until after we're married. Absolutely. Absolutely. So when somebody, and I said this before, and it took me a while to get to this understanding. I personally don't believe in dating. I don't. Because a person might be dating for X amount of months, X amount of years, this, that, and the other. Babies come forth. But the woman don't get married. Because like I said, the man has access to who he's going to marry and whatnot. You see what I'm saying? So that puts a woman in a bad position because now she got babies and she's taking babies into a marriage. And then there's already going to be some issues right there in some cases. That's when I say we have to learn how to use restraint. And I know it's what they say, easier said than done. But if we want to be right in the sight of the Almighty, then it shouldn't be too hard, right? It shouldn't be too hard. Let's look at it this way, because I had to look at it like this. That way we can get a better idea. For all you fathers that might be listening to me right now, that have daughters, how would you feel if your daughter, the daughter that you love, found herself lying with somebody and ended up having a baby or babies, but that same man wouldn't marry your daughter? I would be furious. I would be furious. But see, that's why our daughters have to think. Don't give up the most precious thing you have to anybody other than your husband. Because see, I would have to ask this question. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. I have to say, what do you have to offer that man that you have never offered to another man? What do you have to offer your husband that you have never offered to another man? Y'all see what I'm saying? Now, there's some things other than that. One and the biggest factor outside of being what? Peace. Peace. And I'm sure there's some other things. So that's something for the ladies to think. And then men, you have to ask yourself a question too. What are you willing to offer in a marriage? Because a lot of times, we all know that marriages don't go the way we think they're going to go, right? Because that loyalty, that commitment is not necessarily there. Because if a person's been accustomed to doing this, that, and the other, and they've been having it their way like Burger King or whatever, then sometimes it might be sort of difficult for that mind to say, well, I'm just going to settle right here. Notice I use the word settle right here. If a man is not trying to initiate marriage, it's probably because he don't what? Want to get married. So if a woman has to bring it up and he keep putting it off, it's probably because he don't want to get married. So when you first start dating, if that's what you're doing, in conversation, I'm not saying on the first date, you might want to bring up, well, how do you feel about marriage? Can you see that in your future anyway? Not, and might even say not necessarily with me, but can you see that in maybe in your near future? You know, you have to start inquiring about certain things. Now, in the book of Isaiah, the 61st chapter.
Isaiah the 30.
61st, Isaiah 61. Tenth verse. Isaiah 61:10 reads, I will greatly rejoice in Yah. My soul shall be joyful in my Elohim, for he has clothed me with the garments of salvation. He has covered me with the robe of righteousness, as a bridegroom decketh himself with ornaments, and as a bride adorned herself with jewels. In other words, that marriage, when you equate this here to marriage, that seems like pretty special, don't it? Check this out. Again, the latter part of that verse, as a bridegroom decketh himself with ornaments, and as a bride adorneth herself with her jewels. Seems like that's you know when you're up there, how can I describe it? You have a good imagination, baby girl. Read that. Just read that verse.
11.
10.
Wait
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me make sure I'm at 10. Yeah, Isaiah 61:10.
I will greatly rejoice in Yahweh. My soul shall be joyful in my Elohim. For he has clothed me with the garments of salvation. He has covered me with the robe of righteousness.
Righteous.
As a bridegroom decks himself with ornaments, and as a bride adorns herself with her jewels.
So you got what you need. Go ahead, break it. Tell me what that says to you.
Well, okay. When I can't speak for the bridegroom, I can only speak for the bride.
Okay.
So when I got ready to marry you, I put a lot of preparation and effort into it because it was very important to me. So if you take that same effort and energy and ask Yahweh to bless you with his salvation in the same way that someone gets married gets ready for their marriage, it's something that's going to stay with you and stick with you and serve as a reminder so that when times get hard, you remember, got me ready for this.
Now we're cooking without grease.
Okay.
See, that's what I'm talking about. So this is like it's a special time, it's a special occasion. And a lot of times we get into the occasion just because we want, say, the wedding, but not the marriage. You understand what I'm saying?
You get ready for the show, not necessarily for what comes after.
There you go. But we have to be all in. All in. See, marriage is supposed to be for keeps. And I'm sorry I keep using you, but like I say, you got 56 years up under your belt. And in 56 years, I'm not suggesting that anybody's going to be arguing all the time, but every now and again, there's a bump in the road. We got to be willing to work those bumps out and honor that commitment. And a lot of times, I'm coming right to you, babe. And a lot of times, lately, it don't seem like a lot of people just, they all in. You know what I'm saying? So, if you don't mind, just say something briefly to give some encouragement to those that might be going through something right now. You ain't got to take a long time or anything. Just, you got 56 years in. 56 with the same person? Who knows? Somebody like me might wake up and say, oh, you again. Not you, baby, not you. Not you. Go ahead, Elder.
In 1983, my husband lost his job. In 1983, I got fired from my job. In 1983, my mother passed. He was down, I was down, but I knew that something had to give. And I encouraged him and said, we're down, but the only way we stick together, we will come up. And we did. We did. But our 5 children, we stuck together because we had a commitment to the Almighty, to our marriage, and to our children. And you cannot be selfish, especially when you have children, to say, oh, I want to leave. You have children that need mother and father. And when my children would go to school, most of the kids didn't have both. And it was hard for them to believe that they had a mother and a father. So it's that. And like you said, everything wasn't good all the time. When we both lost our job and we didn't even have gas and electric, we was in a dark, cold house. We took our children to my mother-in-law so that they wouldn't be in a dark, cold house. But we stuck together and things got better.
That commitment goes a long way, don't it?
Yes, it does.
But sometimes when things get tough, the tough get going. You know, and that shows just how strong, or should I say, how weak that commitment was. So we have to vet the person, if you will, that we're interested in to see where they're really at. And sometimes you have to go about it in a roundabout way they don't really understand that they might be being vetted for marriage. Because if they know, of course, sometimes you're just gonna get the answers that you're supposed to get because they know. So sometimes you have to just phrase things differently. And then you always have to look at the actions. And those actions need to be consistent. If you go to find a bunch of inconsistencies, that's what they call a red flag. See, so, and I only say that because people are really shying away from marriage. And so what they're doing is they're causing one another to commit transgressions against the Almighty. And right now, I'm just focused on Israel. We should know better. We want to say we're blessed and we continue to get blessed and this, that, and the other. Even a wicked person get blessed. And when we're not right, I've been wicked. I've laid with women that I wasn't married to. But then I had to grow into myself. I had to quit being that fool. Yeah, I'm calling myself, I was very unwise. In Psalms 127. Psalms 127. I said this earlier, now we're gonna solidify with the actual scripture. In the very first verse, it reads, except Yah build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except Yah keep the city, the watchman waketh but in vain. In other words, except Yah build the house, they labor in vain to build it. We can't just run our households as husbands any kind of way we want to. Say, this is my house the way I want to. No, that foundation has to be of Yah. And if, ladies, if you find yourself telling the Israelite man that you won't marry, but he's not showing you that he's trying to be right in the sight of you, you already seen what's going on. You already seen what's going on. So if it's going to be right in your face and you accept it, you know what you're doing. Don't get your eyes clouded with lust. Because once that go dead, and the Almighty's not going to be happy. It's not going to be happy. That's when I say, and I have to say this because I have a daughter. And I'm going to have something to do with it. Y'all will, if I'm alive, should she get married? It ain't going to be none of that sneaky stuff. It ain't going to be none of that. Because I'll already be old and just, hey, I might well go and say, I'm already old. I probably wouldn't have a problem hurting somebody at that point. I'm just going to tell the truth. Just going to tell the truth. I don't want to. But sometimes it's easy to manipulate you ladies. Mm-hmm. Telling you, that's why I said, don't just go, we're going to sit down and talk and tell me what you like. No, you tell me what you like. And then y'all be on the phone late at night. Okay, you hang up. No, you hang up first. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And then be thinking that I'm in love, but all you was in lust. You know? And then when you do get, let's go to I said when you do get married, there's some things that you want to do, fellas. Go to the book of Ecclesiastes, the 9th chapter. Let's look at the 9th and the 10th verse. Ecclesiastes 9 starts to read. Live joyfully with the wife whom thou lovest all the days of life. Let me read that again. Live joyfully with the wife whom thou lovest all the days of the life of thy vanity, which he has given thee under the sun. All the days of thy pardon me for a second here. I need a closer look. I don't know what's going on with my eyes. I had LASIK. Then they put me back in glasses, and my other glasses they had to make over. I'm still trying to get them right. Here, I don't know if y'all know my right eye up here twitching. I don't know what it is. So my wife this morning, look at my eye. Been doing that here lately. What that mean? Mean I'm gonna get a bunch of money or something else?
It's twitching.
Yeah.
Nerves.
Well, I think I'm gonna get a bunch of money. I don't want to get nervous. All right. Yeah, this is better here. Live joyfully with the wife whom thou lovest all the days of life of the vanity, which he has given thee under the sun all the days of thy vanity, for is thy portion in this life, and thy labor which thou takest under the sun. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. For there's no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave, whether thou goest. So whatever you do it with all your might. If you're going to take on a marriage, give it everything you got. Give it your best effort. That makes sense to me, especially if you're committed. Who wants to get married and don't want to give it everything you got to make it work? Who would, do you think anybody in their right mind, want to get married and don't want that marriage to work? Unless they're just trying to maybe marry up to, be taken care of or whatnot. It could be the male or the female. Sometimes a man might marry a woman who got a bunch of money. Sometimes a woman might marry a man who got a bunch of money. If we're going to get married, let's get married for the right reasons. What a person look like getting married, but they still got them ways where they running around. That sounds like it's going to be a disaster right off the top, don't it? Because commitment wasn't there. And ain't no honor in that. And for the woman who might still be running around, but decides she want to get married, because it might just be a come up or something. Ain't no honor in that. It's doomed to fail. Both parties have to have a strong commitment to that marriage in order to have a successful marriage. Now, I know it's going to be some people who going to say, oh, well, he cute, and he going to say, well, she fine, and they ain't going to find out nothing about one another. Next thing you know, they're going to, and something going to come out the oven, and marriage ain't even going to be discussed. By the time somebody think about getting married, say how many, you can be the guy, say how many children you got. You got 8, 9, 13, whatever. Won't get a job. You know why? Because their child support from 8, 9, 13 different baby mothers going to be out there, and he ain't going to have a quarter. He ain't going to have what they say, a pot to piss in. So a lot of times we ruin our life, and then we ruining the life of those that we get with because we're not trying to be right. So again, if a person ain't trying to be right, don't try to take on the responsibility like marriage, because it's a responsibility and a commitment. And I would like to think that both parties, I would like to think anyway, that both parties are going to honor that commitment, that they know what they're getting into. Have anybody ever researched marriage or had conversations? I'd like to know that from maybe somebody that's either in this room or by way of the internet. Just checked out what you have to put into a marriage. Or did we just jump into a marriage blind? I don't think we just jumped into a marriage blindly. I don't think we did that. Then again, I can only speak from my perspective. Did anybody consider? You've been married for so long, y'all had to, if you didn't have that conversation off the top, y'all had to have it along the way somewhere. So, me, I sat down at my dining room table when I met this woman. We had a good conversation. And I said what you can expect from me. I like to think that I've been consistent. And if I didn't think I had been, I wouldn't even say that right here in front of everybody. Now, I ain't trying to say that like I'm no angel, this, that, and the other. I'm saying that if I'm talking about a person I have to be committed, then regardless of what the outcome might be, whether the outcome is good or not so good, if that person is committed and honor their word, if the husband is going to honor his word, if the wife is going to honor her word, then you shouldn't have any problems you have along the way. You should be able to work your way through, right? Because the road going to get rocky somewhere along the way. Most likely, it's going to get rocky. So what do you think? I'm coming right to you, and I'm coming right to you. So what do you think about that scenario that a lot of people have, about having a nice car, the nice house, the picket fence, the dog, and all that type of stuff, but they don't look at the effort that goes into maintaining that marriage, that relationship. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes people ignore one another, be so busy that they don't communicate, and then the relationship starts to suffer. So you got to make time for one another, and you should want to make time, because that's that significant part of you that you've committed to for a lifetime. For those that are serious now, I don't know who was first, but I think I got three of y'all. He's letting you go first. Baby girl.
Oh, I had a question.
Yes.
Because I'd like to know what you particularly did as a wife. Scott, what was your response?
Oh, I saw that look. Wait a minute. That was instinctive. Okay.
Long time ago. There was a lot of times things got rough.
I should have filmed that look.
Especially when I was a teenager. I was a teenage bride, 17, with no refrigerator, no stove. That was rough for a teenager to have to endure, baby. But I worked through it because I love my husband, and I like I was saying, I was just committed to him and to my child. So really a lot of, with me and my husband, we were young teenagers, and we didn't have a whole lot. And I think the thing about our marriage, because we had to work from scratch. We had no hot running water. We had to boil water. We didn't have a bathtub, we had a tin tub. And we grew from that together. We progressed, as far as moving up together, doing things. He had to walk about 4 or 5 miles to get a big thing of ice to bring back home to put in a cooler for my daughter to have cold milk. We endured a lot as young teenagers and grow up together to be where we are at today, because we have nothing but each other and Almighty. We even know the Almighty, but we knew that we loved each other, and we had that bond because we was committed to our love for each other and our children.
That sounds like that created a great bond. When you struggle together and you go through things together. No, seriously. When you go through certain things together and you stay together, I see that as tightening and strengthening a bond, because when you can be at your lowest together and then you can't do nothing but come up from there. So bonds, I do believe, are created. My wife know the thing that I said made my commitment even stronger, because we've talked about that, and I shared with y'all what that was. She was going through a pregnancy with knowledge, and the cord was wrapped around him. It was one of those times, you see, and it was a difficult pregnancy, and not only that, when they opened her up, and I'm right there and I'm looking at this, and I know my wife is in pain. I'm like, oh my goodness. That made me not want her to have to go through anything else like what she actually went through during that particular time. And so I was even more, not that I wasn't already committed, my bond became even stronger. You see, so I guess it's certain things for certain people. Things that, ma'am?
That they have to go through.
Yeah. So I understand that. I wasn't weak, about to pass out, and nothing. I'm like, when I'm seeing what she's going through, and so I put some things in place because I didn't want to see her go through anything like that again. So I'll leave it at that. But bonds are created. Yeah, go ahead. And you had something too, right? Okay, I'm coming to you.
I may ask real quick. I'm sure there were lots of things you loved about your husband, but what was the one thing above everything else that made you love your husband?
He was when I say strong man, I mean, he is a strong black man. His strength, he gave me strength because I was the type of person that I kind of like was quiet and that kind of like took a lot from other people. And my strength came from my husband. I mean, he was always strong. And that's what attracted me to him, was his strength. And so, lady, if you're looking for a good black man that fears Yah, make sure that that man is strong and is not going to buckle under in times of adversity, whether it be finance or just anything. Health. My husband was strong to the very end.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
So it was his strength that drew me to him.
Because opposites attract. He had something that
Yes, exactly.
Praise the Almighty Yah. That was my brother. In the book of Proverbs, the 13th chapter, I'm only going to give maybe a couple more scriptures because I want us to be on time here. And if be Yah's will, we'll visit this particular topic again, because throughout the course of time, I'm sure we'll go over this and go over that, because we got to get ourselves together. There's so many of us out here just wrong and know we wrong, just being in these relationships with no commitment other than the fact, you know I'm gonna be with you, right? You know I'm gonna be with you. Yeah, I'm gonna be with you too. It's not a marriage. It's not a marriage. And what we're doing is we're being a fool in the sight of the Almighty Yah. Because we know that we should be married when we live with anybody. And like I say, I've been guilty of it. And there comes a time when we learn better, that we should do better. Like scripture say, just learn to do well. Learn to do good. Learn to do good. Let me give two more scriptures. Shabbat shalom. Let me get two more scriptures. We wrap it up here. In the book of Proverbs, the 19th chapter. Proverbs 19. Then let's examine the 13th verse. 13th verse. Proverbs 19 and 13.
Did you say 19 and 13?
The 19th chapter, Proverbs the 19th chapter. The 13th verse. It reads, a foolish son is the calamity of his father, and the contentions of a wife are a continual dropping. So at the marriage, when you have a marriage and there's disharmony there, that calamity, that man, it's making things be like, I'll put on my glasses here. It's pretty much a disaster. We talked about that before. It's calamity he's not bringing what he should be bringing to the table, so to speak, at that particular time or whatever. So what's even worse than a disaster? Like, it's just a catastrophe. Imagine something, you say, oh man, that was, what's the word, catastrophic? That was just a catastrophe. What is on a person's mind to where they would let it get that way and not want to straighten it out. Again, I started out with letting us understand that the Almighty said he's the husband and we're the wife. So as mortal husbands, when we want better from our wives, we have to give better. Do you understand? See, a lot of times we don't realize this here. I'm gonna use this analogy. Say you used to drive in your car. Then all of a sudden I come in your life. You've been used to handling all your business yourself. Then I say, well, here, let me drive. You got to know that I can drive and handle things before you switch that seat with me, right? So you can maybe even lay back and go to sleep and know I got it. That I'm gonna handle things the way they need to be handled. You understand? See, so in order for a woman to be submissive to a man, to allow her husband to rule over her, so to speak, she got to have confidence that this man is the one for that job. Because every woman is not going to submit to just anybody. Even if a guy, see, because like in the book of Genesis, the 3rd chapter, the 16th verse, the Almighty was talking to the woman. Where he was talking about her conception, her desire with childbirth, and her desire should be to her husband, and he shall rule or govern of her. In order for a woman to, and I'm going to say, in order for a woman to allow a man to rule or govern her, that man got to show her something. She got to feel confident that she can sort of lay back and he got it. She's not going to be willing to submit and humble herself to a fool. I'm just telling it like it is. So the Almighty didn't tell no man to say, look, I'm the man, I'm supposed to rule over you. They sound like a fool.
Teach, brother, teach.
A woman have to see something in this man in order to allow this man to govern over her. And he should be governing over her in what? Righteousness. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. What I look like, somebody marry a fool and he just going crazy and saying all kinds of things, disrespecting his own marriage and say, well, I'm the man, I'm the husband, I'm supposed to rule. No. If you're the man, you ain't got to say I'm the man. You ain't got to, just the essence of that man being who he's supposed to be should be eternal.
Teach, brother, teach, teach.
It should be eternal. Just that man being the man that he's supposed to be.
That's right, brother. That's right. That's right.
That's just like if a woman tell a man that I feel safe when I'm with you, she sees something in you. Because she ain't gonna just tell anybody that.
Right.
Now let's talk about them contentions of a woman. So we're gonna end here. Y'all know about them heated disagreements. We done all had them. We done all had them. Y'all know what? Check this out. You ever had a leaky faucet? And the faucet is all the way off, but you keep hearing. You keep hearing that drip. I'm like, the contentions of a woman. That's the reason scripture talking about, man, you'd be better off dwelling on the rooftop. That's why I said earlier, man, ain't gonna win no argument with no woman, so why argue?
That is not true.
You're gonna end up with a headache.
That is not true.
You ain't gonna be asking her, baby, what I asked for that or whatever.
That is not true.
I'm just saying it like it is. And that ain't knocking nobody, but like I say, we become so westernized that the men and the women are out of order. And we got to get ourselves together, especially if we want to have successful marriages.
Right. That's right.
You know, because marriage should not be taken lightly. It shouldn't. It shouldn't be. I can't say it enough. If people are thinking about getting married and they're selfish, don't do it, because you're not going to be right with the other person. If you're the man, or if you're the woman, or if both of you selfish, don't do it. Because no longer is it me, it's we. It's we. And sometimes people just ain't ready for that. I'm just going to tell y'all like it is. And I know married people know it. Married people know it. You know, we have to have those honest discussions. Otherwise, things ain't gonna work out the way we want them to. Now, this very last verse that I'm gonna read, then we're gonna close it down and go to Proverbs, the 5th chapter. And I want y'all to take this into consideration. And like I said, if it be y'all's will, we will visit this again. Proverbs, the 5th chapter. Let's start at about the 18th verse. We'll take it all the way over to 23. It reads, let thy fountain be blessed, and rejoice with the wife of thy youth. Let her be as the loving hind and the pleasant roe. Let her breast satisfy thee at all times.
Hallelujah.
And be thou ravished always with her love.
Hallelujah.
And why would thou, my son, be ravished with a strange woman and embrace the bosom of a stranger? For the ways of man are before the eyes of Yah, and he pondered all his goings. His own iniquity shall take the wicked himself, and he shall be holden with the cords of his sins. He shall die without instruction, and in the greatness of his folly he shall go astray. In the greatness of his folly. Don't be tempted. You got your own sister. You got it. You got it. Look at her. It's like, ooh. You know, oftentimes, hey, I don't think it's inappropriate to say, hey, sometimes my wife go by. She remind me I'm a little heavy-handed, but you know, it's supposed to be a love tap. It ain't supposed to be abusive, you know. There's some other little things I do because I love my wife. And so I don't always have to tell her I love her, which I do.
Love you too,
But-
Big Papa.
That's my baby girl right there. Y'all know she been calling me Big Papa since we started dating. And we've been married, we've been together for 16 years.
Praise God.
That's been my baby girl this whole time. Even when we fuss and fight. But there's a commitment, we ain't doing that no more. We ain't doing that no more. We're on the right path. We didn't got together because there's always, for the most part, gonna be some bumps. But see, that's just us shaking out that westernized mentality. We got to get it up off of us. Because if we want something to work, that means we got to put that effort in. We got to put that work in there. We can't just expect things to happen. And then we pray together. I can't say that enough. We pray together. Now, there have been times, and honestly speaking, that I've been upset and I don't want to go before the Almighty with a bad spirit. So at that time, I say, I pray in the car. I just pray in the car. I can't do it then because I don't want to go before the Almighty and my spirit don't be right. So that's another thing. If you don't pray together, my wife asked me several years ago, long time ago. She said, why don't we pray together? Ding, a bell went off. I'm like, hey, why don't we? And that's what I started doing. And it makes sense, and I appreciate that. I think it makes us stronger. What's that old expression? Y'all know it. A family that prays together, what?
Stays together.
All right. Especially if you're sincere about what you're doing. Now, that being said, I'm about 4 minutes over, and I do apologize for that. If it be y'all's will, we will continue this because I had a lot more. And I hope to put these on because these are readers. Y'all don't know how y'all look at these at a distance. Are there any? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I do apologize.
I don't know if I shared that. It's weird.
Oh, you were just asking about anybody researching marriage, and I said after my first divorce, I did.
And that's wise because sometimes I got married for the first time. I was so young. What I know about marriage? I think I was 18 years old. 18 years old. Thought I was in love, didn't do no daggone research, and definitely had the wrong one. Well, we learn. And then we learn, hopefully we do better. Yes, sir.
I want to say that the lessons today with Sister Dawn and you it shows about what it is to be civilized. And the beautiful thing about marriage is, and your lesson is that it covers so many bases. And I'm glad you're doing a part two. Like my wife said, like with me, I didn't research nothing. I just jumped in with both feet, and you see, I was divorced from them. When I walked into my marriages, I wasn't a man. I was a beta man. You know, it was yes, 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 and I had to learn eventually. Like, man, no woman want no pump. I don't want no soft cookie. Woman like a little bite with a cookie, don't you, baby? Don't you, baby? Like a little Rottweiler.
That's a little too much.
But in all seriousness, though, your lesson, brother, really shed light on a lot, and I can't wait for part two. Y'all will. Beautiful job, brother.
Is that it from everybody? And I hope I didn't throw nobody off. I was trying to be a little discreet. Yes, ma'am.
I'm so sorry, but I heard this, and I'm not really trying to keep everybody, but I heard this lady, she was doing a TikTok or YouTube, I can't remember. However, she said that there was an ongoing debate with her friends, and I just, excuse me, I just feel like this is applicable because it encompasses marriage. And the ongoing debate was, who do you feed, children or your husband? And she said, just to summarize, that when you have someone that's just laying up, or you call your boyfriend and they're in and out of your life, you make sure you're. When you have a husband, someone out there working to the sweat of his brow and coming in every day, making sure that there's food on the table, that man definitely gets fed first. And she said, so often younger women don't understand that concept, because if they, it's all about my kids, it's all about my kids. But if you have somebody that's put in the work, like you said, and that's been there, and you guys have been aligned, then you make sure that your husband is taken care of first. And I just thought it kind of.
And I agree with that 100%. 100%. Totally agree with that. And even the scenario to where you said, if that's not her husband, that somebody just coming in and out. Women that raise children for the most part on their own, and I'm not going to say in all cases, they might have two different households. There may be a father involved, but if there's no father involved in raising those children, you take care of your children before you take care of this man. And hopefully he's bringing something. If he's eating there, hopefully he's bringing something and not just living up off of her. But when you have a man that's providing and going out and doing the things that he need to do to keep that household together, yeah, I agree. He should be taken care of. So if there's no other comments or anything, we can go ahead and pray out, because I'm telling y'all, I'll be keeping y'all here about 8:30. No, I'm just joking. Y'all will be like, no, he ain't keeping me. I wouldn't do that. No, I wouldn't even do that. Heavenly Father, yeah, our strength, our power. We come before you once again, asking that you may continue to share your tender mercies and your loving kindness with. Humble our hearts, Heavenly Father, Yah. Make us to know our ways. Make us to know our errors, that we may want to straighten them. And we thank you, Yah, for those tender mercies and all the loving kindness that you share with us. Thank you, Yah, also for this great and holy Shabbat day, where it's your party and you invited us. Thank you, Yah. We pray that you may strengthen us and that you may heal us and hold us close to you, that we may seek your face. All praise being to the creator of heaven and earth, the universe, the seas, and all that therein is. All praises be to Yah, our strength, our power. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Praise the mighty Yah. Yah is righteous and Yah is merciful. Let Yah be magnified. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Soon as that's off, don't go nowhere. Just need quick